Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is the third attempt at starting to film this video. I've had to move myself strategically around my bedroom because the light in here is so harsh and I forget this. And I looked like the moon and I looked like an egg. And at one point I looked like Paul Breach, which I think was honestly possibly the most horrifying. So I didn't want to subject you guys to that. But I did want to film from my bedroom floor today. I don't know why. It's just where I felt like filming. But anyway, hi. Welcome to another reading vlog. It is Friday evening. As you can probably tell, I've just got back from the gym. I've showered. I have 2 more meetings to do today, but I'm very much like in the Friday feeling. I'm in the weekend mode. And I decided that this weekend what I want to do, the activity that I want to focus on is of course reading. I do have some of the bits going on this weekend that I am going to have to do, but I wanted to try and do somewhat of a 48-hour readathon. I say somewhat because obviously these other activities mean that I cannot exclusively read for the full 48 hours. And I mean, you know, I do need to sleep. I am a sleepy human being, so I will definitely be sleeping. So I'm not keeping it like a strict 48-hour readathon, but I haven't done a reading challenge in a while and I wanted to tick off a few more books from my obscenely ambitious January TBR. I didn't film that for YouTube, but I did film it for TikTok, which I think is going to be where I do my TBRs from now on. So if you want to see the books that I chose, make sure you head on over to TikTok. But I still have like a lot of books left because although I've had an exceptional reading month in January, I also have mood read a lot because this is me, and is anybody surprised at all? Because I'm not. But yeah, I wanted to tick off some more books from that list just to try and get a sense of accomplishment for the month. So that is what we're doing. I'm going to run through some of these books now. I don't for a second think I'm going to read all of them, obviously in this 48 hours, but if I can read 2 of them, I will be glad. But I just thought I'd pick a variety and then I can mood read, because we know what I'm like. We all know that if I sit down and say I'm going to read these 3 books, I will read everything other than those 3 books. So anyway, the first one is Now Open Your Eyes, which is the 3rd book in the Stay With Me trilogy by Nicole Fiorina. This trilogy I really do have mixed feelings on. I've been putting off reading this because honestly I wasn't blown away by book 1 and book 2, but I also do want to like get to the end. You know, I want to see how Mia and Ollie's relationship kind of concludes. I can't even honestly properly remember what happened in the 2nd book. I do have them both on my shelf. It's just, yeah, not my series, but I want to get this read, so I'm going to attempt to read this weekend. Other honourable mentions and possibilities are Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I don't know that I'm ready for the subsequent existential crisis that every single Sally Rooney book gives me, but also I do want to read this because this is the only Sally Rooney book I have not yet read. And also this is a really beautiful edition. This is the Waterstones exclusive with the sprayed edges. It is gorgeous. This is another highly likely read because I think it'll be quite quick and quite short, but I have Revelry by Candy Steiner, which is a little small town romance. Candy Steiner's books are normally very quick reads to me, normally about 24 hours or so. I really like them usually. Love Letter to Whiskey is possibly my favourite. It's very angsty, very heart-rending. And I really liked it. So yeah, this one's like a little standalone and I thought it could be good for this weekend. Another strong contender is La Petite Morte by Olivia Blake because it is just a diddy little novella. This is like supernatural creatures in New Orleans and obviously has her signature illustrations throughout it as well, which are absolutely stunning. So yeah, I think this one is, I'm very likely to pick up that. We also have My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. Like literally every single person knows about this book at this point, so I'm not going to give you a synopsis. I'm not going to give you a rundown because you'll have heard it a million times. I'd also quite like to finish Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn, which is a collection of like essays and interviews with people on the subject of love, be it platonic, romantic, and everything that kind of comes with love. So I would like to finish that. I'm like about 1/3 of the way through. I started this last year and I haven't yet picked it back up, so I'm always slower reading non-fic though, so I definitely want to try and get that ticked off. And then finally, Grady Hendrix released How to Sell a Haunted House this week, and I love Grady Hendrix so much, so I am incredibly tempted to pick this up because It's been a minute since I read a Grady Hendrix. I love a Grady Hendrix. I love a haunted house. I'm in the mood for a bit of a thriller, a bit of a horror. So yeah, this is another strong contender. So yeah, that is my reading plans. I'm also currently reading King of Wrath by Anna Huang, but I have like literally 2 chapters left to read, so I'm going to finish that before I technically like start this readathon. I'm also not being strict when it comes to like timing or anything. Like, I will start it tonight when I feel like it, and I will end it on Sunday night when I feel like it. I'm not, you know, going in on the rules. But I've rambled for 6 minutes, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to go and do my meetings, and then I will catch you guys at some point later on this evening when we begin to read and I pick one of these books, or literally anything else that's on my shelf, but probably one of these. Okay team, I am done with work. I am done with university, which means I have an evening of reading ahead of me. I say evening, I'm using that term loosely. It is 9:20 already, and your gal is old these days. She needs her sleep. But I am also armed with a vodka and coke, of which is actually mostly vodka because I accidentally poured too much, but we won't talk about that if this vlog descends into chaos. Cheers. Anyway, honestly, you guys, I know that my plan was to try and read some of the books that I had already put aside for my TBR for this month, but all I want to read right now off that pile is Grady Hendrix. And I mean, this isn't the book that I didn't put this on my TBR for January, but here we are. So I think I'm going to read How to Sell a Haunted House first. Reasons being, number 1, Grady Hendrix books are usually very fast-paced. Reason number 2, I haven't read any kind of horror, thriller situation since October. It is now the end of January. Like, January literally ends in like 48 hours. Well, a bit more than that, but you know. And I'm just in the mood. I'm in the mood for a silly, goofy time. I'm in the mood for some spooky goings on. And I also, like, I really want Grady Hendrix to redeem himself after Final Girl Support Group, because that was not my favourite. I really did not vibe with that book in comparison to my best friend's Exorcism, or in my opinion his best one, which is Southern Vampire. So, Southern Vampire? Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It's just a very long title. Southern Book Club. Let's just abbreviate it to Southern Book Club, not Southern Vampire. Oh my god. But anyway, yeah, this is what I think I'm going to get started with, because I'm just in the mood for it, you know? And then I think this is probably going to be like my second priority because it's Diddy. And then we'll see where we get to after that. Like, I am under no illusion that I'm going to read more than like 2 books this weekend, because I do have other stuff going on, but I'm going to try, okay? I'm going to do my best. Also, just going to state for the record, because I'm so freaking excited about it, your gal here, this one, won tickets to see the 1975 play, The War Child show at Gorilla in Manchester next week. I found out last night and I thought I'd been scammed, so I wasn't celebrating, and then today I've had confirmation from War Child that it's true, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I'm like screaming, crying. Yesterday when I got the email, I actually like had a really over dramatic moment where I just like kind of cried, and then like sat on the floor in the kitchen and was like, oh my god. So if you see me just kind of degenerate over this course of this weekend, it is because I'm just like a steaming ball of like nerves and anxiety and excitement for that show, and I don't know why I keep feeling nervous for it, but I do. I haven't seen them in such a small venue since like 2015, and oh man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is what happens when you follow a band for like 10 years and you see them in really small venues, and then they start like playing arenas all around the world, and I'm so excited and happy for them. But like, oh my god, this just means so much to me, and I have like the ideal set list in my head, and I'm really excited. This isn't even, why am I talking about this? This isn't even about books. I'm gonna start reading this. I will fill you guys in on my thoughts. You guys, this book is sad. Like, I am legitimately tearing up. I hate reading grief in books. Well, I don't hate it. I think it's important to see depictions of grief in books, but I suffered a lot of grief at a very, very, very early age, and I think a lot of it is still really unresolved. Like, hey, trauma dump. So when I read books with like a really vivid depiction of grief, it definitely just kind of like transports me. And yeah, a very, very, very sad start to this book. Like, I feel like Grady Hendrix has a really great way of kind of like unpacking serious topics with like snark and humour though, which he's definitely done here. And he's also really good at kind of stringing metaphors in with his narratives. So like Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, for example, I did a whole reading vlog, and I also did a whole like spoiler filled review as well, where I really went like in depth with my thoughts on that book, because I think that one's probably the clearest one he's done when he's kind of used metaphor. And I think that was just a whole discussion on womanhood and what it means to be a woman in society, and how society sees women, and how society saw women kind of in the 80s when that book was set, and like now to this day. This one, I actually think The Haunted House, I'm going to say now, and I could be very wrong, I'm going to state for the record that my belief is that the house isn't actually haunted. I think that's going to be a clever play on like haunted by the memories of her parents and her childhood, and having to come to grips with learning new things about her family that she didn't know about. And also I think it's going to unpack whatever the hell it is that her brother's going through. I also do wonder if her brother had something to do with her parents' deaths, and that isn't a spoiler because that's actually happened in like chapter 2. Her parents had both just died and it was very sad. I wonder if her brother's got something to do with it. But like, even the way that they discuss the death was just like so relatable in a weird way. Like, for example, her brother calls her out and he goes, "You need to sit down." And he goes, "You need to sit down," he said. Automatically she stood up. "What happened?" she asked. "Don't freak out," he said. She started to freak out. And then the way that he then speaks, it's just, there's just something about it that just makes me think that he's involved. And then there's this like beautiful paragraph, and it says, "The lights went out all over Northern California. They went out across the bay. They went dark in Oakland and Alameda. Darkness rolled across the Bay Bridge, and Yerba Buena turned as black as the water lapping at its shores. The lights went out in the Ferry Building, at the Tenderloin, and the Theatre District. Darkness advanced on Louise, street by street, from the Mission to the park to her building, the apartment downstairs, the front hall. The entire world went black except for a single spotlight shining down on Louise, standing in her living room, gripping her phone." And like, isn't that just such like a beautifully relatable description of when you receive like a really awful piece of news and you're just stood there and your brain is trying to like deal with it, and you're trying to come to terms with what you've just heard, and it feels like the whole world is like crashing in around you. Like, yeah, I love Grady Hendrix. This so far is definitely better than Final Girl Support Group, and I am so pleased. Good morning, team. It is Saturday. I'm so happy it's the weekend. I had like the most glorious lie-in this morning and I'm feeling so good. And I've also sat and read for a little bit, so that is what I'm coming in to talk to you guys about now. And then I'm gonna go and get myself a little coffee and kind of start my day a little bit more. But I'm now about a quarter of the way through How to Sell a Haunted House. Loving it. It's very fast-paced, very typical Grady Hendrix in that way. Kind of getting really creepy now, which I'm really pleased about, because if you watched my videos in October, I was really struggling to find like creepy books that actually scared me, and this is actually like freaking me out. So I'm like, okay, this is good. I really love the writing. Very fast-paced. Got Grady Hendrix's typical kind of snarky humour thrown in as well, which kind of like offsets the scariness. So like when things start getting really intense, he'll then just kind of like break the tension, and I love that. It kind of brings you out of it a little bit, but in like a good way. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I am along for the ride. So I'm gonna go get coffee and charge my camera while I'm gone, and I will see you guys in a little bit. I'm really enjoying Louise as a character, not so much Mark, but I think obviously we're kind of set up to not like Mark from the beginning, so I'm trying really hard not to like fall into that trap of like being completely caught up in what the author wants me to be caught up in. And I'm kind of trying to make sure I develop my own kind of opinions on all of the characters, but especially the characters we're supposed to not like Mark. I'm trying to keep myself open-minded. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. Obviously don't want to give away any spoilers for anyone who hasn't read it, especially because it's such a new release, but it's certainly creepy as hell. Guys, this book is creepy as hell. I'm loving it, but like, yeah, creepy as hell. So right now they've kind of come to the conclusion that the house is haunted, obviously. So I feel like everything's about to ramp up, and I'm really loving it. It's really good. I'm really glad that I feel this way, because like I've said, I didn't like his last release. So, well, it's not that I didn't like it, actually. I did like it. It was a really good book, but it just didn't have like the Grady Hendrix appeal that all of his other books had. Whereas this is just like, oh, this is so good. This is definitely giving me 5-star vibes, like 100% giving me 5-star vibes, and I'm so pleased about it. Guys, I love this book. I love this book. I love Grady Hendrix. He is the master. I'm obsessed. Like, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. That's all the update I have for you right now. I love it. Okay team, it is a little bit later. I have just finished writing one of the 2 articles I needed to write for this weekend, and I'm so glad that I've got that done. And I've delved a little bit further into how to sell a haunted house, and oh my gosh, it's so good. We've just had this weird like POV switch, so we've gone from like 3rd person throughout, and all of a sudden we've just had like a section that is 1st person POV from Mark, which was really interesting. And I'm glad that I decided to try and keep open-minded about his character, because I was right. And he's definitely, I think, structured a certain way at the beginning of the book to make you have an assumption about him that then obviously changes further into the narrative. And I'm liking the fact that he's becoming a much stronger character with a much clearer voice. I think at the beginning of the book we're expected to dislike him because he kind of acts as though he just basically acts like a spoiled child, but suddenly we're starting to like understand more of his motivations and more of the reason why he's become the way he's become, and I'm finding it fascinating. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm probably like 75% of the way through now. I'm definitely going to finish this later, but I actually have a massage booked in an hour's time, so I'm going to sit and read for probably another like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I'm going to need to drive to the spa, and I am so excited. I'm going to get an Indian head massage because I've been feeling very stressed. So I'm really excited to have that and just have a bit of pamper time. It's the reason why my hair looks like this today, because obviously it's going to get covered in oils from the massage, so I didn't think there was much point in washing it earlier. So yeah, that is my plan. I probably won't update you guys now until I'm back from the spa. I'm not going to take you guys to the spa with me because obviously I'm not going to film myself getting a massage, and I'm kind of a new member there as well, and I just don't feel comfortable with the idea of vlogging there yet. But yeah, that is my plan. And then this evening I'm going to obviously finish reading this, and then I think after this I'm either going to read Candy Steiner, My Year of Rest and Relaxation, or La Petite Mort. I haven't decided yet, but I think those are the 3 that are kind of like pulling at me right now. I don't think I'm in the mood for the existential crisis that Sally Rooney will inevitably give me, so that might sit on the back burner maybe for March, because next month I just want to read pretty much exclusively romance all month, with it being February. So yeah. Hey friends, I just got back from my massage and I feel so zen right now. It's so good. So I'm gonna go downstairs and read my book, I think, until dinner. But like, oh my god, I just feel so incredibly relaxed, and my hair is covered in oil, so I'm really glad I didn't go with clean hair. But yeah, I feel so good. Hey friends, so it is a lot later and I just finished How to Sell a Haunted House. I gave it 5 stars. I mean, I said that it was like a 5-star prediction right off the bat, and oh my god, it was so good. It literally made me like laugh, cry. Like, I cried. It made me want to do a Joey from Friends and stick the book in the freezer to escape from it several times. It scared me. It had my heart racing. There was some like really intensely gross bits that had me like physically cringing when I read them. I said already, like, the depiction of grief was really vivid, and I found that quite difficult to read at times. When we got to the end of the book, I literally had to text my mum and be like, I love you. But yeah, oh my gosh, it was so good. And I loved the fact that Mark and Louisa's relationship kind of changed for the better after all the events that happened in the book. I love the way that it was resolved. There was a section where I kind of guessed what the plot twist would be, but I didn't guess it quite right, but I guessed like who the plot twist was involving. I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil it. I kind of guessed that pretty early on, to be honest, but it didn't like ruin the reading experience for me or like make me kind of dislike the book in any way, because like the way that it was revealed and the intricacies of why were different to what I thought. Phenomenal. Really, really good start to my 48-hour readathon. We're only at the end of day one. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I do feel like I need a bit of a palate cleanser that isn't going to make me cry, so I think I might read Revelry by Candy Steiner, but what I'm going to do is sit and watch some Booktube for a little bit and just kind of like process what I've just read, and then I'll make a decision on what I pick up next. I also really want to play The Sims, but I know I've got a ton of updates that need downloading, so I'm not going to do that tonight, but I think I might have that on the agenda for tomorrow because I started a legacy challenge based upon Magnolia Parks, so I really, really want to revisit that. To be honest, I kind of just really want to read Magnolia Parks right now, but I'm trying so hard not to let myself because I need to get through the rest of my TBR. But yeah, I'm going to go and watch some Booktube and just like get my mind out of that book because I just don't want to keep thinking about death. Huge trigger warning, by the way, for parental death in that book, so if that is something that is going to trigger you, then just go into it knowing that right from the start that is like a really strong theme throughout the book. Hey friends, happy Sunday. I've had such a productive morning, so as you will have seen, I decided to get up and go out to Starbucks. So I got myself a really nice drink and a cake, and I sat and I finished writing my articles and I read. So as you will have seen, I picked up a Revelry by Candy Steiner to read next. I started it last night and I got a couple of chapters in before I went to sleep, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving the character of Mama Von at the moment. She is, I think, my favourite. Her words of wisdom are just incredible. So yeah, really liking the vibe of it so far. So I've just come home and had some lunch, and I think I'm going to sit and read for a little bit longer, and then I might get some university work done, and I also really need to update my Sims game so that I can play Sims tonight. So that is my plan for the next couple of hours, but I'm feeling really glad that I just got out of the house. Like, you know, when you're feeling a little bit stagnant because you've not really gone anywhere or done anything for a few days. So yeah, feeling good about that, feeling caffeinated, life is good. I'm still not over How to Sell a Haunted House. Like, I think that book is going to haunt me for quite some time. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this weekend reading. Okay friends, so it's Sunday evening, it's quite late now, and I have monumentally failed at this 48-hour reading challenge. I was expecting to have read at least 2, if not 3 books, and I have read a grand total of 1.5. I will probably get a lot further through this tonight, like before I go to sleep, but I just want to stop vlogging now. So that's disappointing, but I mean, I've had fun with it, and today I didn't want to pressure myself to read if I wasn't feeling like reading, so I sat and played The Sims for a little bit. I did some uni work for a little bit. I've done some journaling this evening, like all these other things that I really wanted to do, I've actually been able to do today, which I don't normally get to have done on a weekend. So I'm not mad, but I'm also kind of like annoyed at myself for not reading better. I definitely think I will get a little bit further through this before I go to sleep, and then I'll probably end up finishing it tomorrow. So I mean, is that really that bad? I don't know. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you have, as always, please give me a thumbs up, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye guys.